Hey guys, happy Monday. How was your day? Okay, so Matt and I am coming to you from our hotel. We are in Connecticut right now. Quick life update before I dive into my third episode of Lessons from Last Week. We are moving. So Matt got a new job. He's moving up in the world of hockey, which is super exciting. I'm so proud of him. And so we're moving to Connecticut in a couple of weeks now. So today we found, might have not, found a new apartment. It's like a house thing. It's super cute and we're like so fired up about it. Anyway, squirrel brain, I'm getting on track because I want to fill you in on something that was so insane from last week, and it has to do with cravings, which I know all of us deal with. If you deal with them, I want to hear below, what are your go-tos? Are you a salty person or are you a sweet person? Or are you like horribly cursed and you're both? Hey Lexi, I know that can be true, and that can be true for me some days too, but typically I'm like a salty person. Like, give me all the nachos, give me all the pizza. I would rather have like 2 dinners than have like dinner and dessert. Hey Maggie, so I want to hear from you. What cravings do you struggle with the most, or which ones hit you the hardest? Is it like the sugary, the sweet stuff, the dessert, the baked goods, whatever those things are, or are you salty like me where you're like, give me the chips, give me the salsa and guac, whatever that is. But anyway, I want to launch into really quick a story of what went down with us last week and then what the after effect has been of it, because it's been really, really eye-opening and there's something powerful in it that I know is going to help you. So last week you saw Matt and I did a hike on the Appalachian Trail and we came back early. I had a knee injury. It got cut short, but we had planned on, at the end of our hike, getting back into society in real life. If anybody's ever done like an out in the wilderness thing, hey Lindsay, like us, we were planning on doing 3 days, 2 nights out in the woods, right? So the first thing that happens for you when you get back into reality is you're like, I want a hot meal, because you're literally carrying everything on your back, right? So you're eating jerky, you're eating cold stuff, you're just eating whatever you can carry. So for us, our game plan going into this hike was, even though we've been on this carnivore kind of new path and it's going so well, we made the decision that we're like, when we get home, we're getting a fucking pizza. Like, that was our go-to. So we get home middle of the day because, again, we had to come back early. My knee got hurt. We couldn't continue. It sucked. But we got home and it was like middle of the afternoon and we're like, let's go get that pizza. So we get this meat lovers pizza from our very favorite place in New Hampshire. It's amazing. It's so good. We demolish it. It was fucking heaven. I'm not even kidding. And we get done with the pizza, and I'm not even joking, you guys. Like, this is like the Matt and I combo. I want to hear from you below if this is something you run into. Matt looks at me and he's like, oh, we should get some ice cream. Like, it literally unlocks something inside of us that we have a little bit of any of that processed stuff, and it's like, like, let's have all the things, right? So Matt and I know well enough now, and maybe you're here, maybe you're not, maybe you're still like in your journey of understanding like what foods do what for you, what foods are kind of a trigger, which ones you can have and you're okay with and can like keep it to a moderate amount and still enjoy it, all of those things, right? That's something that we've been learning for so long. This is something that I help coach women on. It's big. It's really important. So for us, we kind of know what those boundaries are, and then we willingly will either stick within them or we'll like go outside of them. And so that day, literally, we willingly just went outside of them and we're like, we're just going to have all the things. We're going to get this out of our system. We're going to enjoy it, and then we're going to move on. So I'm not kidding. We had pizza for like a late lunch. We got some Ben & Jerry's from down the street, which was so good. Can I get an amen for anyone who loves their tonight dough with like the cookie dough, like freaking extravaganza? It's amazing. And then, I'm not even kidding, that night before, like kind of to wrap up the whole thing, we got this like amazing mac and cheese from this little like homemade kind of Italian place downtown where we live. It's unreal. It's like so homemade. So anyway, my whole point is sharing all of that, and I hope my goal here is not to get you like salivating and like wanting to eat all the things, but my point to sharing all of that is I want you guys to understand, like, we ate all of the stuff, right? Like mac and cheese, ice cream, pizza, right? Like, we hit all the bases. So the funny thing was, and this is where I'm sharing with you this craving after effect lesson that we ran into, is I'm not even shitting you, the next day through, like even now, so that was last Monday. So we're a week, like this has been 7 days. I'm still like kind of overcoming the last little bit of it, but I'm not shitting you guys. Like, Matt and I had the most ravenous cravings that next day, the day after, like it literally went days afterwards. And I want to hear from you guys. Comment below if you run into that, where all of a sudden, like, you have maybe you've been on a path of like eating really well. Maybe you've been having a lot of real food. Maybe you've been cooking dinners at home. It's summer. Maybe you've been grilling out. Maybe when you've been going to restaurants lately, you've been opting for like the real food stuff instead of, the like super bar foodie things, or whatever that looks like for you. And then you all of a sudden have something that's more on the processed end. Do you run into that too, where all of a sudden it's like it just snaps something inside of you and you're like, give me all the shit and give it to me yesterday? Like, that is literally where we were. So my point to sharing this is there were two really powerful things I noticed, right? So one was the physical cravings that we experienced. And what I want you guys to understand, and this is something that it's a little bit of science and a little bit of kind of like internal stuff, but cravings are basically our body, science lesson for you, basically our body saying, hey, we need more nourishment. Like, whether it be it needs more nutrient value, maybe we need just more food in general. So if you're under eating, you're gonna have a shit ton of cravings because your body's just like, gah, we can't do all the things with what you're giving us, like, we need more. And the unfortunate part, hey Abby, unfortunate part is like our body can't tell us, right? Like, it can't go like, hey Jessica, like, we need more magnesium and protein, thank you. Like, it just tells us like, hey, we need to eat. And so if we're in this habit of constantly having like the processed kind of stuff, we're gonna keep craving what we're already giving our body, right? So that's something to keep in mind, almost as like a positive way when those cravings come up. It's not that you're broken. It's not that there's something wrong with your system. It's just like your body's trying to tell you like, hey, we need more things, right? We need more building blocks to do the stuff that we do. Even for energy, that could be another thing. If you're really tired, or if you're not getting enough sleep, or maybe you're feeling really run down, sometimes you get kind of munchy, right? That's your body going, hey, we need more energy. Help us out here. So that was like what happened for us, was our body, after that day of having like zero nutrient value, right? Because like pasta, pizza, like ice cream, like, that's a lot of empty calories, a lot of sugar, a lot of processed refined like carbohydrate, like, not great stuff. So our body burned through that, and then it was like, we need more, like, we need more things. And then because like a lot of those, they call them hyper palatable foods, which basically is just like anything that gets your taste buds like, right, like super sweet, super salty, super fatty, like whatever those things are, just like pizza, just like mac and cheese, just like ice cream. It's like it rewires our taste buds. So now when we go to eat real food, we're like, it's like our body and our mouth is like, this is boring, right? Like, have you guys been there where you're just like, this is lame. I don't want this whatever real food I made. It's like, I want that crazy mouth exciting stuff. So that was the physical part of what we ran into with this like kind of craving after effect. Was it was like this spiral for the next several days, you guys, where Matt and I were literally like looking at each other going like, oh my God, I want ice cream right now. Or, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about that pizza. Like, it was nuts. So again, I want to hear, comment below if this is something that you've experienced too. Or maybe you haven't gotten to a point like in your journey where you've recognized that contrast. And that was something for me like years ago when I was still kind of working my way through the beginning of like transitioning what I was eating and focusing more on like being more intuitive with my body and eating things that felt like helped me feel better. Was I didn't know what it actually felt like to feel good because I was eating junk just kind of all the time, not knowing, right? And then it took shifting into eating more real food and kind of changing what I was eating, the quality of food, to actually recognize like, oh wow, I was actually feeling like shit most of the time before and I didn't even know it. So again, that could possibly be where you're at if you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Nat. Like, I don't run into those kind of things. So anyway, my whole point though is this is something to be mindful of, that when you're gonna, like when we're eating that kind of stuff, that it's going to have that effect on us, right? So again, keep in mind, if you're experiencing cravings right now, it could be a nutrient deficiency. It could be that you're under eating. It could be that you're maybe under eating from the place of how much you're training. Like if you're working out a lot, you're gonna need more fuel, right? Or it could be that you're eating a lot of processed stuff, junk stuff, that stuff that's designed to make you crave it. And like your body's just responding to that, right? So those are the physical sides. So the other lesson, and this was like the bigger, more powerful one in my opinion, was like the mental side of it. And honestly, you guys, like like food is such a like mental, emotional connector, right? We connect to it with social situations. Raise your hand if you've ever been an emotional eater. That was like a huge thing that I've overcome. And it took me a couple years, I'm not lying. Like it took me a while. I'm not saying it takes everybody that long, but for me, it was like, I was very afraid and I wasn't sure what to do and I felt really lost. So it took me a lot of trial and error to kind of like wade through it by myself. But the whole process of that, right, is kind of looking at like what we associate food with. So for Matt and I, right, like we came off this hike and at this point, like we did this unknowingly. But this might be something that you're doing. You might be even like, I used to do it unknowingly even then too. But it was kind of like an emotional connection, right? Like we had this hike planned, I get injured, we had to cut it short, we were both feeling disappointed, we were both feeling frustrated, it sucked, and then we came home and we're like, let's eat all the goodies, right? So what can start to happen is if we continue to do that every time we feel sad or every time we feel happy, or maybe you had a tough day at work, maybe you got a promotion, maybe you're celebrating something with your significant other. It could be anything, right? But anytime there's like an emotional trigger to eating or connection, the more we continue doing that, the more we're like solidifying that pathway mentally and emotionally, right? So what's going to continue to happen, hey Anna, what's going to continue to happen the more we keep doing that, right? It's just like anything in life. The more we practice something, the more it's just going to become a habit. So if we are practicing without realizing it, hey, every time I feel down or every time I feel sad, I'm going to eat, then we're literally creating that habit for ourselves. So then instead of looking at emotional eating as like we're broken and we're fucked up and like, there's something wrong with us, you can actually look at it as it's legit just a habit you've created. And not that like you did it necessarily knowingly, but the cool thing with that is, hey, if we created a habit, how empowering is that to look at it as we can also uncreate a habit. We can create a new habit. We can create a habit that serves us. So that was something interesting that I thought about and I'd never thought about before. And that's why I want to share this with you guys as some like new perspective that our cravings can sometimes be mental and emotional. So maybe the craving isn't even coming from a place of needing that nutrient value or not eating enough or whatever those things are. It could be just coming from like an emotional mental habit that you have wired. And again, that was something I recognized because we experienced that this week. Hey, Sam. So I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever thought of it that way? Like, has that ever occurred to you? Because like I said, this was like a new lesson for me this last week when I recognized it. I was like, oh my God. So think about that. And the next time, my little action step that I want to leave you guys with is if you're feeling cravings, again, what are you? Are you a salty person? Are you a sweet person? Like, what's your go-to? What's the thing that really pings you? And when you run into that stuff, I want you to start to get curious with it. I want you to start looking at it and look at it in the bigger expanse of your day and your week. So instead of having like feeling this craving, like again, like Matt and I have been having this, like literally we're just to like, it's starting to fizzle out. Thank the Lord. But when you're in that space, instead of, because again, this is how I used to do it. Hey, Sam, this is where my mind used to go. Anytime I would have a craving, I would beat myself up. Hey, Holly. I'd beat myself up. I would get really frustrated with myself. I would get frustrated with my body. And I would feel like, what the fuck, Nat? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you doing this? Like, be stronger. Resist the stuff. It was like this constant fight. And I was fighting against myself. I was fighting against my body. And it felt so frustrating. And it felt really discouraging. And I felt so defeated, you guys. Like, so defeated. But the thing that was so key for me was when I started to hit pause on that beating myself up and instead get curious. And so by reflecting and going, hang on a sec, I've got this craving, okay? I would demolish a plate of nachos right now. Let's say that's where you're at, right? If that's the space you're in, or ice cream or cake if you're a sweets person, if that's the space you're in, instead of getting mad at yourself, I want to encourage you to look at it from a different angle and go, what have I eaten today? Maybe you haven't eaten anything. Maybe it's dinner time and you're like, shit, I totally forgot to have breakfast and lunch. Or maybe like you haven't been the most prepared so far this week. And maybe you had to like grab a muffin on your way to work, or I'm not going to say you had to because it's always a choice, but maybe you felt like in a hurry and you just grabbed a muffin on your way to work, and then at lunch you forgot to pack a lunch, so you had to you went and got some fast food, right? So again, like, it's not about beating ourselves up. It's going, oh wow, I actually ate a lot of processed stuff today, so it's kind of makes sense that I'd be craving more processed food, right? So like, that's the kind of stuff. Or like I said, the mental emotional part. Look at how you're feeling. So reflect back and get curious and go, deep breaths are amazing, you guys. Like, take a deep breath and just go, what was my day like today? And maybe you had a day with a shit ton of emotion. And maybe it was like happiness, maybe it was anger, maybe it was frustration, maybe it was stress. It could be anything, right? But like, maybe you just had a really emotional day. And so it's not that this craving is coming from a place of like, I need to eat the things. Maybe it's, again, that practice you've had in place for so long that your mind is going to that place of like, when we feel emotions, we eat all the food. So if that's the case, then you can kind of start to recognize, and again, this takes time, you guys. This takes practice. This takes support. This is why I do what I do as a coach. And I'm actually developing a course I'm super excited to launch coming up that's going to deal with how to heal this relationship with food, how to walk through this stuff and really like make it a permanent thing instead of just constantly feeling so like out of control and confused. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys posted like as that starts to come together. But do that for yourself and look at like what's going on. And then again, like I said, look at that mental state of, is this a habit that I have? Is this my thing? Hey, Carrie, is this my thing that like when life feels tough, I reach for food? And if it is, that's okay. It's not about beating ourselves up. It's not about you being less than or broken or sucking. It's literally just, hey, I've created this habit and maybe it's time and maybe you're ready to create a different habit. And I can help you with that, or it's something you can work through on your own as you kind of practice this stuff. But just, I wanted to share this with you guys because number one, I deal with cravings too. Last week was a prime example, and another prime example of why, Matt and I are so focused on the nutrition that we have, because cravings fucking suck. And like, I know personally, I hate feeling that like I'm out of control and I'm like, oh my God, like all my little gremlins come out and they're like, give me all the crap, right? So if you relate to that, share below. Do you know what that feels like? And I also wanted to share this because it was such a powerful insight for me, and I wanted to bring this lesson to you so that you can learn and grow from it too, because I love you and I care about you. And no matter where you're at right now, what I'm going to end on is I'm so proud of you for showing up for yourself today. Whatever that looked like, if you are dealing with cravings, maybe you just smashed a whole pint of ice cream and now you're watching this and you're like, oh shit, like this would have helped me an hour ago, or wherever you're at in your journey. I'm so proud of you for tuning in. I'm proud of you for watching this. I'm proud of you for being curious and wanting to learn and taking these steps, because seriously, guys, that's what progress is all about. It's not about being perfect. It's not about doing everything in one day. It's literally one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, whatever works for you. Okay. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Take 2 seconds, please, if you could. Your opinions and thoughts mean the world to me, like mean so much. And I want to know if this was helpful. So if this perspective was like eye-opening and you're like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, please comment below and let me know what specific takeaway was like so helpful. If this wasn't helpful at all, share that too. If you're like, I'm confused on this part, or how can I take this and do more with it, let me know, because again, I'm here to help. I want to serve you. I want to do whatever I can to keep sharing this stuff and help you guys out. So anyway, have a great night. I'm going to quick scroll through because there's a couple awesome comments I saw in here as I was talking. So Tammy said, amen. Pizza totally kills me. I'm with you, Tammy. Said, I'm still struggling with sugar. My cravings are so bad I haven't been able to kick it. So here's the thing really quick on sugar, you guys. So another really fast little assignment I have for you. I want you tomorrow to everything you have with a label. Even if it doesn't have a label, let's say it's a banana. Google it and Google like amount of sugar in a banana. And I want you to track it. Like, I want you to track everything you consume tomorrow, how much sugar is in it. And then I want you to look at how much you had. Because here's the thing about sugar, number one, sugar is not essential to our nutrition, to our lifestyle, to our living. Like, it's not essential. It's something that there's like maybe, and this is like up for debate, and this is something Matt and I are learning a lot about right now, but like there's a safe threshold, in my opinion. I think the less we have, the better. Whether it's natural, whether it's refined, whatever it is, like there's a lot of information coming out about sugar being how related closely it is to like diseases and all this stuff. But seriously, you guys, I mean, the average American has like 80 some grams of sugar in a day, and for like an adult woman, they say a safe-ish threshold is 24. So think about that, 24 grams of sugar. So Tammy, that would be something I would really encourage you to check out, and not doing it from a place of like shame and blame and being mad at ourselves, but just for awareness, because the only way we can really make honest change is to first be aware that there's a problem, right? So that's going to give you a lot of information. And then the other thing about sugar is it's legit, it's addictive. Like they've done studies about how it affects our brain, the way it lights us up. A friend of mine, like one of my best friends, her boyfriend has a few young kids, and she was talking to me the other day about how just the mention of sugar, like the mention of chocolate, these kids are like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 age range, like they literally go bonkers and they're like, chocolate, like they lose their shit, right? So when we think about like being in a healthy place with anything, if we're that attached to something that we're like, oh my God, just at the mention of it, like that kind of tells you something, right? So again, change is always up to us. It's our personal responsibility. And I firmly believe like baby steps are wonderful. So if you do that and tomorrow you track how much sugar you've had and you're like, holy shit, I'm like having so much, like that's a place to start, is just to be more aware of it and make some different choices that's going to reduce that for you. And I guarantee you when you start to back off on that, it's really going to help those sugar cravings for sure. Tammy also said, she's like, I'm a huge emotional eater. The last 2 months have kicked my ass because I lost my job and was forced to look for another job. Tammy, my heart is with you. I'm thinking of you. You are a badass. Like I know Tammy, you guys, if you don't know her, she's amazing, incredible. She's on fire. So Tammy, I'm thinking of you. I love you. You're going to bounce back because I just know who you are. Like you have this light inside of you and this like awesome energy. So just trust yourself. I know that kind of place in life can be so scary and it can be really uncomfortable. So it makes sense that like all of these emotions are coming up. And then again, like we were talking about before, if you have that habit of emotional eating, it's kind of like an A plus B equals C, right? If we have emotions and then we cope with them through eating, like that emotional eating habit is just naturally going to kick in. So just keep that in mind. Be so gentle with yourself right now. Like I want you to just, as much as you can, give yourself compassion, let go a little bit, or try and release like any judgments you have on yourself, and just understand like this is a season and you're going to get through it. You're going to figure this out. You are going to land on your feet because you are a badass. And once you do, then you'll be able to take some new steps and grow through that. Okay. So keep that in mind. I think that was it. Holly said that was so me today. Didn't eat today. Holly, eat the food, please. Like nourishment is everything. And the way I look at it is like our body is the most motherfucking beautiful machine there ever was. Like the most beautiful, amazing. And it doesn't matter how amazing a machine is. If it doesn't have fuel, it can't run. And so like it makes total sense. And luckily for us, our bodies are super adaptive and they're amazing and they can just like keep powering through. But if we're not putting fuel in the tank, like we're literally setting ourselves up for failure. So Holly, I'm giving you permission. I want to encourage you to eat the food and make sure that you're well fed, because like your body is calling out for it and it's so deserving of it. It's worthy. Food is like a non-negotiable in life, guys. So Holly just asked a question. Okay, this is getting kind of long, but you guys are asking some awesome shit here, so I'm gonna address this. Holly just said, are we talking added sugar or natural sugar? So here is the thing. It's all the same. It's all the same, you guys. Like sugar is sugar. Like there is no like healthy sugar and then like bad sugar. At the end of the day, like once it gets into our mouth and like starts to be processed, like our body sees sugar as sugar. So whether it's honey, whether it's maple sugar or maple syrup, whether it's refined white sugar, whether it's raw sugar, whether it's high fructose corn syrup, whatever it is, at the end of the day, like once it gets into our body, like our body's like sugar, like it doesn't matter. So the whole point, I think what Holly's maybe asking, and Holly, let me know if this is where you're getting at with this. I think when we think of like natural sugars, like there can be some like added potential benefits of what we're eating them within, right? So if you're having, say, raw honey has a lot of awesome compounds in it that can be like beneficial for our body. But at the end of the day, like you're still having straight sugar, right? So it's kind of like you want to weigh out like the pros and the cons of like what are those benefits you're getting within what you're eating that's going to balance out having that much sugar, right? Or again, say we're having fruit. This is kind of a controversial thing, but I'm going to be honest, like fruit is still sugar. The whole point of why it's different than having a candy bar is like there's fiber and there's other nutrients that are within that fruit, right? But at the end of the day, fruit still has a lot of sugar in it. It really, really does. So, and again, there's lots of information out there that's kind of coming up of like how beneficial is all that extra stuff, and looking at how much sugar you're actually having. Like for real, you guys, having like a banana's amount of sugar is almost comparable to like a candy bar. So when we're looking at that idea of like we're still consuming that much sugar, it's like how beneficial really is that extra potassium you're getting or whatever, you know what I mean? Like those added benefits are. And then the other thing to keep in mind, I had like a really good, if it comes back to me, I'll post in the comments. I had like one other thing I was going to add on to that with like the fruit thing. Anyway, but Holly, let me know if that's what you mean by the added or natural. So my whole point to the 24 grams is it's just straight up. Like whether you're dumping, honey into your coffee and that's kind of added, or you're getting that how many grams of sugar from an apple, or whether you're getting it from a muffin, or whether you're getting it in your ketchup. Like seriously, you guys, you will be mind blown. Look at your ingredients for making spaghetti, like spaghetti sauce, pasta, all that stuff. Like you'll be shocked how many savory processed options are out there that actually contain sugar. It's fucked up. Like it's so fucked up. So keep in mind, and then the other last thing, since we got onto this sugar topic and rant, the other thing to keep in mind too is there's literally like 80 plus different names for sugar when you look at labels. And this is another reason why I preach whole food and real food is there. When you look at the label on like a freaking steak, like it's meat, like it's steak. There's nothing added to it. There's no weird, you don't have to like figure out what's in it, right? Like, but when you go get a granola bar, there's all this stuff that you don't even really know what it is. And at the end of the day, like this healthy granola bar that's supposed to be like all natural and blah, 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 you might as well go get a Snickers. Like seriously, you guys, there's so many things out there now that it's just like Lara bars. I still love them. They're fucking delicious. But like Lara bars are a prime example. You look at them and you're like, oh, they're dates. There's fruit, there's nuts, there's like coconut oil. Like this is great, right? Because the ingredient list is small. And hey, this is awesome. It's something quick to go. But when you look at the actual ingredient list, again, there's like, I think 20 to 30 probably grams of sugar in a Lara bar. So again, looking at your daily intake, if you're shooting for that safe threshold of 24 or under, because again, we can go through the day with 0 sugar and be perfectly healthy, and I think we'd be better for it. Like think about that option that you thought was like so healthy and nutritious. It's kind of not looking so hot. So again, my whole point to sharing all of this, and I want to throw this in as a caveat before I wrap up, is none of this information is meant to be scary or to freak you out or to have you fear food. I'm sharing all of this to open our minds, to open our eyes, to wake up and be aware of what we're consuming so that you can be educated and informed and feel confident when you go grocery shopping or when you order off a menu or when you're feeding whatever you're feeding yourself. Or if you're going to have something that's not so great for your body, then just do it knowingly, right? So that we're not sitting here kidding ourselves going, oh my God, I'm eating all this healthy stuff and feeling like so, great about the stuff that's going into my grocery cart. But then you're like, super frustrated because your health isn't changing, or you're not losing any weight, or you're holding on to body fat, or whatever the goals are that you have. Maybe your energy still sucks. Like that could be a part of the problem, is all this stuff that's processed but sounds healthy could be getting in your way. So it's just stuff to be mindful of, to keep in mind. Again, you guys, comment below if there's any of this stuff as you watch through now live, or if you're checking this out after. Please ask questions below, because I'd love to come back and just share anything I can to help you guys with this. Tammy, I love you too, Tammy. She said chocolate cherry. Yeah. So that's the thing. Again, like keep that in mind when it comes to the sugar stuff, you guys. Again, this isn't like to freak anybody out. It's literally just something to be mindful of. And like I said, I think it's a great exercise to take a day and just go, I'm going to track all the sugar I had from beginning to end and just see where you're at, because you might be shocked. So anyway, I love you guys so much. Have an awesome night. I will keep coming to you with my lessons from last week, and I hope you guys keep showing up, because this has been so much fun and I love all these questions. So keep them coming. Let me know if this was helpful. And again, if you have any questions or want like expanded on any of this, please share them below or shoot me a message so I can help inform you more if there's anything I can do to help. So love you guys. We'll see you later.